Last time, I touched upon the malabsorption problem gluten sensitives have, which can cause blood sugar instability, which can cause fatigue, brain fog, headaches, etc., all compounding the effects of any symptoms we may have. I'll be describing the blood sugar connection to gluten sensitivity and adrenal fatigue next week. But today I'm going to ask you to begin to think more holistically, meaning in terms of your body's systems working together to keep you going. For example, if your detoxification organs are functioning well because they have all the right ingredients in the right amounts, you'll feel full of vibrant health. But if somewhere along the way on the path the toxins must take to get out of the body, if somewhere along the way that path becomes blocked, things get backed up and that vibrant health feeling diminishes. Sometimes we get so busy that we don't even notice the slippage of our energy until it can't be ignored anymore. And I suspect that's why some of you who are watching this short series, that might be where you're at. Your symptoms may be rightfully sending you signals to make some changes. It may be time to take action to manage stress better, or change your diet, or start exercising, or. Only you can ask yourself what your symptoms are telling you. The solutions I have will work if you're willing to be honest and open-minded. I realize that the thought of eliminating certain foods is scary, but if you're suffering from adrenal fatigue, whether from toxic contamination or chronic stress, the reward of a few simple changes far outweigh any initial difficulty. When any kind of stress arrives on the scene, the adrenal glands, which sit atop each kidney, will start producing the stress hormone cortisol in order to send messages to particular body systems. A small increase in cortisol production is normal and healthy, but prolonged elevated levels of cortisol can have troubling effects. For example, high cortisol levels tend to depress the thyroid, which affects other body systems, like the heart, the liver, and the bones. This is why a woman might have palpitations during and after menopause when the hormones tend to get a little wacky and unbalanced. Or digestive problems due to increased cortisol to the liver. Or osteoporosis, as prolonged and increased stress and cortisol levels trigger removal of calcium from the bones. That's the broad spectrum view of adrenal fatigue. So what does it have to do with gluten sensitivity, if anything? Well, when a person discovers that they have a gluten sensitivity because they are becoming more educated and feel better when gluten is removed from their diet, one of two things can happen. Either they feel great or they feel much better but still have problems, which may be due to some hidden gluten in the diet, or there may be some other food sensitivities. But according to the Journal of Gluten Sensitivity, as far back as 2009, more often than not, adrenal fatigue is the culprit. Here are some common symptoms of adrenal fatigue or exhaustion due to gluten sensitivity. Interruptions in sleep, difficulty waking in morning, fatigue, joint and muscle aches, weight gain resistant to diet or exercise, frequent infections, lightheadedness, fainting, depression, mood swings, low blood sugar, poor concentration, memory, PMS, menstrual abnormalities, allergies, asthma. Gluten sensitivity. This formula shows a direct association between gluten, the adrenals, blood sugar, and stress. Just for your information, adrenal fatigue is relatively simple to fix. The very first actionable step you can take is to eliminate gluten and undo stress. Let me briefly illustrate how the adrenals work to regulate body systems, and you'll get a better idea of the effects of stress. All glands, but especially the adrenal and thyroid glands, are responsible for the energy of the human body. When the adrenals are triggered by any type of stress, they make the hormone cortisol. Cortisol's main role is to increase blood sugar, and it also causes a rise in other hormones such as thyroid and insulin. But this increase in blood sugar ensures that the brain and other vital systems can handle the stressful situation. There are many physiological processes that go on here, like calcium leaching from the bones, hypoglycemia, but those topics need videos of their own. So to be clear, higher than normal blood sugar is a healthy response during a stressful event. This is how the body goes into alert and prepares for the task at hand. But if you're under chronic stress, your cortisol levels are probably always high, which keeps your blood sugar high, and interestingly, vice versa. In science, this is known as a positive feedback loop, and the human body has many of these regulatory mechanisms. But the main point I want to make here is that when the adrenals have been pumping out cortisol, they get fatigued, and so do we. When gluten is ingested in people who are gluten sensitive, it instructs the body to produce inflammatory substances and an immune response. This is read by the body as more stress, which signals the adrenals to make more cortisol, create more inflammation, and more immune substances, which leads to more cortisol, more inflammation, and on and on. Some of us are in this precarious state for years before we seek help. Next time, I'll describe how the thyroid plays into this scenario and more on how to getting these important regulatory hormones under control. Here's a little preview. Thanks for joining me. Catch you later.